Have you ever wondered how A&R evaluates your songs? Well, if you have, then you'll definitely want to check out our sit-down interview with Andre Hurd, Senior Director of A&R at APG, Artist Partner Group. We discuss his criteria for evaluating new songs from songwriters, as well as the difference between the kind of hit song a debut artist needs to break through versus an established act, and much, much more. Coming up.
This episode of the MUBUTV Insider video series is brought to you by the Music Business Registry. The Music Business Registry is the leading music industry publisher of the most up-to-date contact information for major and independent record label A&R, music publishers, artist managers, music attorneys, music supervisors, and much, much more. The Music Business Registry is the trusted industry standard and source serving the music business community for over 30 years with the most accurate and up-to-date contact information available. Their titles include the A&R Registry, the Film and Television Music Guide, the Music Publisher Registry, and the Music Attorney Registry. All of their publications are available in PDF, CSV, or online subscription. Visit musicregistry.com and use coupon code MUBUTV10 at checkout. That's musicregistry.com, coupon code MUBUTV10. When you're ready to put your music to work, musicregistry.com.
Hi, it's Ritch Esra from MUBUTV, where our mission is to educate, empower, and engage your music career. We're coming to you from Muse Expo in Burbank, California, where we managed to catch up with Andre Hurd, who is the Senior Director of A&R at APG, Artist Publishing Group. Andre, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What is APG's A&R philosophy regarding signing songwriters and artists today?
It's a good question. So we're a company that's driven out of passion. So if we find an artist, songwriter, producer that we feel has a unique lane or a unique voice or a unique perspective, and it's one that we feel like we can really add value and ultimately break it globally, then we'll support it and do it. You know, our whole philosophy at APG is signing selectively. We don't sign a lot. So the things we do sign, we really lean into, and we really, put our weight behind, and ultimately end up breaking. APG has such a phenomenal track record at breaking songwriters, producers, and artists. And one thing that I think we're really proud of is we are sort of picky and selective, and when we do, sign something, we do really break it. Yeah.
What has to be present for you in order for an artist, let's say, to be signed to APG? I mean, what factors creatively have to be there for you?
For me, I have to see the vision. So an artist's job is to present their vision so that I understand it. And then I can say, okay, you're here, and I understand in 2 years that you could be here. And musically, through content, brand, or whatever it is, whatever your particular voice is, it's artists who are driven, who are hardworking, who understand the landscape of music, who understand what's important, understand the power of social media, why it's important, understand how to be authentic across all channels, their music, social media, etc. And honestly, following doesn't really matter. It's more so just about, do they understand those pillars? Are they doing them? Are they attacking them? And then can I provide value to really bring them to where they want to go? Okay.
Can you take us through a typical day with Andre Hurd? What does that entail for you?
Yeah. Oh man, every day is different.
Okay.
But I would say my days are normally, I listen to, I'm on TikTok quite a bit. I listen to a ton of demos. I'm always looking for artists, songwriters, producers. Constantly. And the primary sort of aspects of my job are the artists that I have signed, figure out the A&R, make the right records with them, and then work with our marketing teams to really understand the brand, push the brand out, push the artist's vision out, and try to figure out where the hole is, where the gap in the market is, how to actually break somebody. And that's sort of the conversations I have every day with the artists that I do have and producers I do have. It's a lot about like, where are we going? What are we doing today? How are you going to push the needle forward today? Where are we going? So my every day is different. Some days I'm in the studio all day. Some days I'm working on records all day. Other days, I'm on marketing calls all days. Other times I'm, ideating session ideas and figuring out. I'm always trying to push the needle forward on how can I get closer to where I want to be with my artists and my producers. So every day is different. There's no sort of like cookie cutter answer, but you know, quite often I'm in my office just listening to music.
When you're listening to songs from a songwriter or a songwriter producer, they're obviously coming from a different stance than an artist.
Yep.
Because they're not going to be making a record of their material or getting out
Yep.
there. They're behind the scenes. Do you evaluate, and they don't often even have the same criteria as an artist would. So how are you evaluating that? Are you evaluating that strictly on their skill sets, on the level of writing?
Yeah.
Because they may not have a track record, or they may not have social media or anything.
Yeah.
So how is that coming
There's
about?
a couple qualities that are intangible.
Okay.
So with artists, it's very sort of clear. It's like, okay, you have your music, there's your social numbers, there's the things that you're doing, the output that you have. With a songwriter and a producer, there's a lot of intangibles. The biggest intangible that I look for is, what are you doing to hustle and build relationships? You know, it's a relationship-driven game. There are so many great writers and so many great producers out there. The ones that are actually on top are the ones who know how to build relationships with the right artists, the ones who are actually A&Rs in their own right, the ones who are finding artists early. That's what I'm looking for. And then from a music standpoint, it's still a unique voice, a unique sonic voice from a producer. Unique, are you doing something different? Like, are your sonics different? Are your drums different? Like, what about your production is different? From a songwriter, from a lyric perspective, are you saying things differently? Are your melodies phenomenal? Like, you have to have something that's great in your music. But honestly, I've seen a lot of producers that I didn't think were that good become very successful because they knew how to surround themselves with the right artists. So that's most of the battle, in my opinion.
Interesting. You mentioned the idea of, what are you doing to further your career? And, I'm curious, we both know that this business is not just about talent, and often it's the non-creative qualities that you look at before saying, before I get involved with this artist and push the button for APG, I want to know that they have XYZ. You mentioned one of them, which was the hustle. Can you talk about some of the more non-creative qualities that you look for in the artists and in the songwriters that you're willing to sign?
Intelligence is a huge one. So intelligence of, have you thought about your career? Have you thought about, if I ask you specific questions, do you think on the spot and do you not know the answers? Have you thought about, there's a lot of Mike Heron actually tells a story about Kanye, the first time he met Kanye. And I think it's so indicative of, and he also tells a story about Pharrell, and both the stories are very indicative about what I look for in artists. When he met Kanye, Kanye had his first 3 album names in his head before he ever released College Dropout. And Pharrell, when he met Pharrell told him that he wanted a song with Jay-Z that he was going to do. He had all these sort of grandiose big plans that, from Mike's perspective, were crazy. But he had a vision. And you watch those two guys have the biggest careers of all time. I think a lot of people, I come to my office and they don't have a vision for their career, and they don't know where they're going to be in a year or how they're going to get there, or, and when I meet an artist who has a clear, concise understanding of this is where I am and this is how and why I want, I'll be here in a year and this is where I'll be in 3 years, I want to back that artist or that songwriter or that producer. I think ambition is, a lot of people want to be successful, but they don't understand the actual concrete things that go into being successful and ambitious. They just think I want a gold record, I want a platinum record. Well, what does it actually take to get there? Do you know? Have you thought about it? Have you analyzed it? Well, if you have, what is it? How do you get there? And some people sit in my office and they give me phenomenal answers, And, I asked an artist what his ambition was recently, actually, and he said he wants to play the Super Bowl. And I was like, that's a very specific, clear thing that you can attack. And I think a lot of artists are just I want to be a successful artist. I want to tour. We're songwriters, I want big cuts. But that's so vague, and that's not going to make me passionate. That's not going to make anybody else passionate, your manager or your lawyer or any other co-writers that you're working with. So I think ambition and vision is a really, really, really big part of it.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And like you said, you mentioned earlier that you've seen and come across talent producers, I think you mentioned, that you didn't think were that strong, but who've been phenomenally successful because they've known how to surround themselves with the right vehicles. And that's an important thing. That's the hustle. That's the relationships, the chemistry element. We talked about songs and hits before, and I'm curious, do you feel in your position on the front lines of A&R that there is a difference between the kind of hit that a debut act needs and the kind of hit that an established act can have?
Yeah, I think the definition of a hit has wildly changed. I think, when I entered the business 10 years ago, the hit was pop radio, #1 pop radio. It was global hit record. Today, because of TikTok and because of social media, it has introduced minor hits, which are for developing artists, major hits. So I think if a developing artist puts out a song that streams, 1 million streams a week, I would say that's a big hit for that artist, But if you're Charlie Puth, that's a failure. So I think it's for me, as I develop artists, I'm looking at where are we now, what kind of records do we need now, and then in a year from now, if we're let's say we've gotten to the next level, a hit is going to mean a different thing then. So it's always sort of like, I think everybody wants the viral TikTok smash, ABDC, like that's the record. I think that people should be shooting for what's good for their career, because right now we're seeing so many TikTok records move and the artists are falling off, and they're ultimately, fast forward 6 months, nothing's happening. The record labels don't care, are shelved essentially, and I think that everyone's shooting for that, but that's the wrong goalpost. I think you have to be shooting for where are you, what's right for you right now, and put out those kinds of records. Don't try to make a pop hit like Charlie Puth. I think that's gonna hurt you. So I think it all just depends. I think if you're a producer, I think you want, in order to make income as a producer and as a writer, you need big radio hits. So it all sort of depends who you are, and where you are in your career.
Okay, so in listening to your answer, it's interesting because I'm curious, when you come across one of your writers, or you're in the situation you are, who has written what you think is a smash.
Yeah.
And I know that's happened to you as an A&R executive. Yeah. Talk to us about the process of casting the right person for that record. How do you go out, because you have to go out into the world, whether it's on Warner's or Columbia or Interscope, and find the right artist for that record. How do you do that? How do you cast in your mind who's going to be the one to cut this?
I know what artists I think are cool, and I know what artists I think are going to go. There's a lot of artists that get signed to all of those companies that I don't think are going to go. So I think it's like, it's a short list, which kind of makes it hard at times, But I think you want to, as a writer and as a producer, you want to back the projects that you really believe in. And as an A&R, I want to back the projects that I believe in, on my roster or not. So I think it's about being selective, and I think it's about also, if I get a song that I think is really special, I'm not going to send it to the world, because I don't pitch records in that way. I don't say I don't get a song and say, okay, I'm going to send it to every A&R that I know. I get a record and say, there's like 5 A&Rs who I trust, who have good ears, who's going to listen to this and actually have a vision for their projects. I'm going to send it to those people, because I don't want to saturate my artists or writers market, in the music business. So I'm really selective with who I pitch to and what I pitch for. But I think the music business it's a people's game. You have to bet on the right people. All we're doing is betting on artists. And I think you just have to ultimately just back the artists that you think are going to do it.
Absolutely. And, as I'm listening to you, I'm realizing you're in a unique position at APG. You're an A&R executive who's signing artists, and you're also working with some of the world's foremost producer and songwriters.
Yep.
So my question to you is an A&R one. When you come across an artist that you really love, does their ability to write songs as an artist, not as a writer producer, but as an artist, is that important in the signing process to you, given what you have access to?
Yes, very much so.
Interesting.
I primarily only sign artists that are great writers, or that have the ability to be great writers. I can develop talent, I can develop songwriters. I was a songwriter back in the day. Okay. I know what great songwriting is. If I feel that you have a seed that will be great as a writer, I'll sign you. Okay. I signed this girl named Lexi Jade a year ago, she was 17 when I found her, singer-songwriter. When I heard her demos, I was blown away by the level of writing, her lyricism for a 17-year-old. And I saw in my head, I was like, oh, in 3 years, I think this girl could be the biggest songwriter in the world. Forgetting, her social presence or her look or her voice or the artistry around it. I just thought her writing was phenomenal. And I signed her, and she's actually starting to break now, which is exciting. But I think it's to me, to break through as an artist today in 2022 and moving forward, is you have to have a unique perspective. I think it's really hard for an artist who just has a voice and a look to find the right records, to consistently put out the right songs, to move the needle forward. And I think there aren't a lot of developing artists that are taking records these days. Most developing artists are writing their own songs. It's very different than 5-6 years ago. So it's just, the landscape is changing.
No, absolutely. I mean, it is changing, because
Yeah.
if that's the criteria, and what you're telling me is that most of the new developing acts are writers themselves, then that has changed. Because the whole idea when you looked at the charts was that, 80-something% of people weren't writers who were having hits.
Yeah.
And it was like a songwriter's gold mine. Songwriters who were pure writer-producers,
Right.
they had hundreds of thousands of outlets for their songs.
Right.
But now, which is, this is something that in the past, the writing ability that you're speaking of was much, much more important.
Yeah, I think it's, social media has given access to kids in their bedrooms and who can have a voice, and those kids are getting signed because of their voice. So I think and those kids don't want to take a song from somebody they've never met, or a song that doesn't specifically relate to their life. So I think you do have the artists that I think are the smart artists, are artists who are good writers, but who are open to outside ideas. Because I think a hit is a hit, and I think if a hit comes across my email for any of my artists, I'm gonna have them cut it, regardless of whether they, are writing a majority of their album or not. Like hits are hard to come by. So if a true hit lands in my hands, I'm gonna make sure that my artists at least hear it, and I'll push it on them. But good artists write these days. I'm such a believer in that.
When you come across a writer and you sign them to APG, are you involved in placing them with other writers, co-write sessions, writing camps? Is that something that you involve
very much
your
so.
writers into the world of the business?
Yeah, very, very much so. I mean, our style at APG is very collaborative. So it's very find your producers, find your writers, find your artists, find your people. With all of my people, I do it very intentionally. So like I said, I only back projects that I believe in.
Right.
So I'll only put my writers, producers, or artists with producers or artists that I really believe in.
Okay, all right.
Ultimately, whether it's on a roster or outside.
In your life, have there been any books or films that you've seen or read in your life that have really been inspirational to you, professionally speaking, that you could recommend to our audience?
Yeah. If You Don't Stop Talking, You'll Know I'm Dead by Jerry Weintraub. Everyone should read that book. It's the best hustle stories in the world. One of my favorite books.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes, and they made a documentary about his life. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, I definitely did.
Exactly.
And The Operator, David Geffen, that's a incredible book.
Yeah, it's funny, you're the second person to say that one today.
I believe it.
Yeah,
believe it.
Johnny said that one as well. He loved
my
that
boy.
one. Yeah. I was telling him stories about David because I used to know David back in the 80s when I did
Wow.
A&R at Arista. So.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was interesting. What advice would you give to someone who's interested in pursuing A&R as a career for themselves?
Send me music. I think the best, there's two ways in A&R. It's one, as an assistant, apply for assistant job, do your best to get the job. And the other path is, find an A&R and just send them music. All I'm looking for every day is the next star. So if you can send me something that I think is great, and ultimately if you send me something that I end up signing, I will offer you a consultancy. It doesn't matter whether you're a 12-year-old kid or 37-year-old or 50-year-old. It doesn't matter. If you're great at scouting and have a good ear, I'll bring you into the process. So consultancy leads to full-time employment. I mean, we have employees who are 19 who started as consultants. All it takes is just signing one great thing.
Okay.
It's a hustle game. It's just a hustle game. It's the amount of hours you spend looking. And how good's your ear.
Man, some really great and valuable info there coming from Andre, especially for all you songwriters and artists looking to have a professional career in songwriting with one of the leading music publishers in the world. So, insiders, question of the day. From this video, what were the most salient points that stood out to you that Andre spoke about during our conversation with him? Was it his criteria and how he evaluates songs from a new songwriter? Or was it his explanation regarding the kind of hit song a debut artist can break through with versus an established act? Or was it the song casting process of finding the right artist for that song? Or maybe it was something else that stood out to you. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to MUBUTV for more information on how to educate, empower, and engage your music career. In addition, we recently put together a free guide on the best strategies to use when contacting A&R executives. This is extremely important before beginning your journey. So, if you're interested in receiving it, we've included a link to that in the description below. It's totally free, and it goes through the top do's and don'ts before you even think about reaching out to A&R, such as asking yourself, is my music 100% ready to go? Making sure you don't include attachments of any kind to your email, only direct links to either your Spotify or SoundCloud accounts, and much, much more. This is an incredibly crucial guide into learning the art and etiquette of connecting with the A&R community. So, if you're interested in receiving that, we'll link to it in the description below. You can also check out a summary of this episode and everything we talked about in the YouTube description as well. And if you enjoyed this video, we'd really love it if you hit the like button and let us know what other kinds of videos and types of content you want to see on our channel. Hit us up in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.